Hello.
Okay, here's what I know. One sentence can change everything. You have cancer. I'm pregnant. He's passed away. My sentence came on March 19th, 2012. I cheated on you. And just like that, almost 10 years of marriage, a 3-bedroom house, and what I thought was joy were gone. I moved out about 2 weeks later. Things were pretty rough, and I started having fantasies. Maybe not the kind you'd imagine. I imagined driving in a motorhome, not a huge motorhome, across the country with my 12-year-old son Trace sitting beside me, and we would head from New England to Oregon to the coast. And this fantasy, you could call it escapist dream, helped me as I navigated divorce paperwork and support groups and self-incrimination. How could I not have known? I beat myself up with those words often. And most of all, I beat myself up with the thought that I had ruined my child's life, that his life had been ruined by this explosion. So the fantasy continued, and I started scouring newspapers, and I finally found a motorhome worth looking at. It was $6,500, and I had $5,000 saved, but I was going anyway. So my dad went with me, and we checked it out, and it was perfect. It was a 1986 Ford Rambler. It got maybe 9 miles to the gallon. But it was perfect, and it was my fantasy, and I told the people who were selling it my story, and they knocked $1,500 off, and I drove to Plymouth, Massachusetts in my new motorhome. And I left it at my dad's house because I needed to do this fantasy over the summer. I had to work in, a job. And I started to decide that I was going to have a theme for my trip across country, and it was going to be called Defiant Joy. And I made bumper stickers, and I had t-shirts. My sister designed t-shirts, and we passed them out to people. And I started a blog, and when the time came, I went to Plymouth, Massachusetts to pick up my motorhome, and my dad came with me, at least to New York, because he said, I'm not sure something made in 1986 can make it across the country. So he just wanted to make sure I'd be okay. And I touched the waters of the Atlantic, and we started driving. And one of our first stops was Niagara Falls, and it was my son and my dad and I, and maybe some tuna fish sandwiches, and we were sitting in the grass, and what I didn't know at the time was that every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they do free fireworks over Niagara Falls. And so there we were, and the fireworks were going, and the air was warm, and some little bit of joy returned to my life, because I realized that you can have fun for free. And I had been pretty worried, as a single mom thinking about finances, and so a little bit of that dissipated. And so my dad went home, and my son and I continued, and we did more s'mores, and we did books on tape, and I only brought one movie with me, and we watched that movie multiple times when it rained, and we continued our trek across country. And we reached Minnesota, and somewhere in there, some people just randomly had a Christmas in July party at this campground. And we brought a potluck. I think we had like hot dogs and macaroni and cheese, and everyone brought something, and the kids were playing, and Trace was riding bikes, and he'd made friends, and there was a Santa on a wagon. And a little bit of joy came back into my life because I thought, his childhood isn't ruined. He's making friends. This is working. And so we kept on going, and we went to Mount Rushmore, and we saw all sorts of sights. I had this app, and we went and saw the Jolly Green Giant life-size statue. And that was awesome. You should go. And we continued on, and we got to Oregon. We got to Eastern Oregon, and I was all excited, and we were almost to our destination, and somehow I had misread something, and we had no gas. We had pretty much had no gas. And I looked on my phone, and we were gonna maybe make it to the gas station that was indicated there. And so we pulled in. Yeah, we made it. We pulled in, and it had been closed for like 2 years. And the next gas station was we're not gonna make it. And and I thought, darn it. I mean, I don't think I thought darn it, but this is it. The joy is evaporating. It's running out. And Trey said, we should pray. And so I said, okay, God, we need some gas. And there was a couple of men in the corner, and we have this gas station talking, and we went over there, and we explained our situation, and the man said, I have gas, and he went and got it, and he brought it back to us, and we gave him a t-shirt, and we made it to Oregon, and and I wanted to touch the ocean, right? Because I had touched the ocean in the Atlantic, and so I piled Trace and a bunch of his friends into the motorhome, and we're gonna go to the ocean, and we get there, and it's a foggy Oregon day, and we flew kites, and we ate more tuna fish sandwiches, and I thought to myself, I thought back to the day when I thought that the joy was gone, and I realized that the great thing about joy is it's a verb, and you do joy, and we had done joy, and we had found joy by just doing it, and we had never lost it.
Yeah.